All right, everyone, welcome to the Dance channel. Just a quick live stream about the breaking news coming out of the AFL this morning, basically saying that the AFL season is now postponed, not necessarily cancelled completely, but certainly for the short term, postponed. We played one full round. Not going to go through so much the scores or the games, just kind of talk about and gauge the feeling within the AFL community right now. Of course, everyone's going to be upset. There's no point in even asking, are you upset? What's your opinions on it? Hello, everyone that's joining. What's your opinions of it in terms of should it have started in the first place? Is it the right call? Etc. etc. But I'm going to do something slightly different on my live stream. I'm going to call someone from down under who is a massive footy fan. And if it works, I'm just going to try and have it. Evening, Mirror Girl, I'm going to try and ring you now on this. So hopefully we get a good signal and a connection. If not, we'll just not do that. Just going to ask you a few questions on the live stream, and hopefully we'll be able to put this on speaker and it will pick it up through the microphone. Okay, so I'll give it a go now. I'm going to ask Diane, you're going to tell us a little bit about yourself, all right, and your opinions on all this. So we are ringing.
G'day, Douglas.
Hello, Diane, how are you?
Oh, look, I'm all right. All things considered.
Yeah, no. So just tell us a little bit about yourself, how much your footy journey and everything. Give us a little bit of a feel-good story before we do anything else.
Okay, well, the feel-good story's fairly easy. I was brought up by a Bulldogs-loving mum.
Oh yes.
I got to see EJ Witten playing.
Oh, brilliant!
Went to his final match as about a 5 or 6 year old.
Wow!
And we were right behind the goals.
My word!
Final quarter.
Yeah.
And Mum perched the pair of us, my sister and I, on the pickets.
Yeah.
And she said, when that siren goes, you run, you go get him.
My word!
And that's what we did. We ran out with about 47,000 painters and dockers.
Wow, that's amazing.
We were in the crush that lifted EJ up in the air. So yeah, my footy goes back a long way. I can remember watching footy as my earliest memories.
Wow, that is absolutely what a story that is, by the way. So you actually
something went horribly wrong, and I became a Pies supporter.
That's what I was just thinking. So how did that actually happen then? You've obviously started off. It would have been Footscray back then.
Yes, I was. Yeah, Footscray back in those days.
So how did that happen? You went over to the dark side.
Well, we were a very ecumenical football family.
Yeah.
Dad and Grandma barracked for St Kilda.
All right.
And
very
my
good.
brother and sister barracked for Hawthorn. And my best friend said to me when I was about 8 years old, she said, well, I think you should barrack for Collingwood. And that was her team.
That was not wise advice.
Absolutely not.
Well, in fairness, Collingwood are consistently a very, very good side, but they really do fall short at the final hurdle over their history, don't they? That's how you get that Colin Wobble nickname. Of course, the chokers.
Exactly.
But onto the kind of more current situation with what's going on. In your opinion, what was your thoughts of first of all, the footy going ahead, given the sort of situation right now?
Look, I think you really knew how bad this whole thing was going to get, and how quickly.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm not looking to blame anybody.
No, you're right. You're right.
It's what it is.
Yeah, you can get emotional at times and look to point the finger of blame. I can even probably say for myself, I've kind of done a little bit of that as well. I think that's human nature, but in the grand scheme of things, it isn't anybody's fault, really. You know.
And facing reality is, it's painful, but it's what we've got to do. And I can understand it in every respect. The AFL wanted to go ahead for, obviously they've got billions of dollars in the game.
Yeah.
And they have millions of fans in the game.
Yeah.
And I think that they thought that they were doing the right thing in every respect.
Yeah.
But I think they've also made the right decision now, as much as it hurts us all.
Yeah.
It's reality.
It is. I can't, obviously, I think you seen in a video yesterday with me with the Collingwood. I actually removed it because I got a couple of comments I didn't like. It's not like me to really let things get to me that much, but I think people are hurting right now, and I didn't want to add any more hurt to it, so I removed the video. But I obviously showed my emotion at the whole thing as well. It does hurt, and obviously being in a position like mine right now, where I'm obviously putting myself on a platform for others, you're going to expect ridicule and stuff for your opinions, but it's quite a difficult thing to try and put out positive content for everyone when all of this is going on. I think in terms of where we are in Europe to where you are right now, I hope that the AFL's decision will make it a lot easier for people in Australia, and you won't be as affected as what it looks like we probably are going to be here. I think you've done the right thing as a country and a community now with your borders. And I think the AFL's made the right decision. Whether or not it was a late decision is maybe it remains to be seen. But as far as I'm concerned, personally, I believe it was the right call.
I'm particularly I'm particularly heartbroken for the AFLW.
Yeah.
So close to their finals, and to have it all taken away is pretty sad.
Yeah, no, it is sad, and I mean, like, just as the female game as well is getting quite a lot of attention now, and it's something I actually watch, and my girls have watched it as well with me, so we are keen to really look to promote that on the channel. And now that they're stopped, just as they're getting into, their games become
really getting into their stride.
Yeah, and you do see a lot of physical stuff in their games, so I commend them for that.
And I mean, it's only going to get better and better.
Yeah, it is.
10 years from now, when all the Oz kickers have grown up playing the game, 100%.
Yeah.
It's going to be magnificent.
Yeah. What about, obviously, this week? What did you think of the footy then? Because it's something that I've.
Well, obviously, I enjoyed Thursday night's game.
Of course. No, you're well entitled to enjoy it in terms of your team played really, really well. So yeah,
and they did. But the rest, I didn't see any watch any of it. I listened on the radio, which was a lot less jarring because it was all done with words, and you didn't miss the crowd.
Oh, right, I see. Yeah.
Tackling and really not giving it 100%, which, I mean, I can understand that, but he said it was one of the worst quarters of football he'd seen. I can't remember which game it was, but that's why it's the best decision to stop, because nobody's heart's going to be in it. Everyone's up in the air.
This was one of the comments that I had made in that video with Collingwood Bulldogs that I've removed was, can you tell 100% that these players aren't going to be naturally worried about the situation we're all facing ourselves globally in terms of family members underlying? You don't know the psychological effects that everybody holds. I feel that possibly the players could have potentially been kind of guided towards saying yes to going ahead with the footy based on financial basis. And what I mean by that is you've got the AFL people in charge at the top. I'm not going to mention names. I'm not going to point the finger at blame. They've obviously put out the story there that if this didn't go ahead, AFL would be under serious pressure financially. So could the players have been almost pressurised into going ahead and saying yes, they think it was the right thing to do, or is it possibly something? This is one of the things I've been.
I think the number one consideration for any of the elite players, like anyone playing at that level, is they bloody well love the game, mate.
I know. And first and foremost, we're human beings and we love sport.
First and foremost.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. They want to be there playing it, and hence I don't think that there would have been a hell of a lot of resistance to getting going.
So you feel that it's probably more a case of they wanted to do it to put a bit of feel-good factor back to the Australian people, give them something to divert their attention rather than Yeah, well, that's I can see where you're coming from there with that. I mean, it's very hard to be. It's very easy to be cynical. Yeah.
Yeah, but then I would also add that the situation has escalated in the last week as it has for everybody, and they then have other considerations. They have the rest of their career to think about.
Yeah.
They have to think about, are we going to get any games in this year? In which case, that's one psychological hurdle that they've got to work towards or against, and the other thing is then starting. They've been in a bubble. They've been protected. They've been kept away from the public, and then all of a sudden now the rest of society is shutting down, and they can't avoid the reality of that. And so I would say that there won't be much resistance to the decision to stop play.
No, I think you're right. You make some really, really good points here, and I appreciate somebody from down under there who's actually obviously grew up with the sport, loves the sport as passionately as all the people that watch the channel. I appreciate your opinion. I am an outsider in terms of growing up with the game, etc. But I can assure you and anybody who watches the channel, I'm passionate about the sport and putting good content out there for everyone. I do love the sport. It is my dream to take the family down there, as I've already said so many times. But in terms of this decision, it's a no-brainer for me. People's health is your wealth at the end of the day. And if we can't guarantee the safety of our family members, how can we expect players to go out there, even in their bubble, away from maybe public, to not be ultimately concerned about what's going on outside of that bubble? The standard of the footy is going to slip naturally because players' minds, in my opinion, are going to be on other things. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, your heart goes out to those young fellas who are playing their first games.
Oh, and you know what?
I'm sure that they just want to get out there and do it.
Yeah.
But, if you're a young fella, you're 26 and you've got a wife and a family. You've got other considerations as well.
That's it. Like there is bigger things in sport. I mean, a lot of us can joke at times saying nothing's bigger than sport, but this is a serious reminder that isn't the case. And in terms of what you've just said about the young players making their first game, I completely agree with you. But also on the flip side of that, somebody had made a comment on Facebook, which you're on the page as well anyway, so about maybe senior players like Burgoyne and stuff like that, maybe playing their last ever game, which has got to be remembered as well. Yeah,
exactly.
So there's a huge like he might not get the send off that he deserves for maybe an amazing career that he's had, which is quite sad news for an individual basis for him and for his supporters, and indeed I suppose supporters of the game, a legend like that. But
well, sport. There's always tragedies. There's always tragic stories, and this may be one of them.
Yeah. And
for the entire world, 2020 is going to be an asterisk. It's a footnote.
I mean,
something that we're all going to have to live through.
It is, and we will get through it. We definitely will get through it. All I'll say is, obviously, I think that I've seen border shutdowns in Australia right now, Dan, but could you tell me thanks very much. Somebody's just put a donation in there, Glenn, mate. Thank you so much. I forgot what question I was going to say there because I wanted to thank someone. Basically,
about the borders closing down.
So I know you're kind of advised to isolate as best as possible, but is there many people in your area that are actually right now in lockdown, like myself, kind of actually has to isolate because of symptoms or anything like that? Is it as close to home for you?
Well, as you know, I work in disability support, and we can't withdraw the work that we do because we have with people with disabilities that we have a duty of care to.
Yeah.
So I'm working.
Yeah.
I know one of my sons is telecommuting at the moment. He's able to do his job online.
Oh, well, that's good. Yeah.
My other son has to go into work, and I don't know yet whether he'll be working from Tuesday or not. So Victoria is basically shutting down.
Yeah, and in terms of your second son, then, when you say he doesn't know if he's going to be working, will he get paid? I don't mean to pry or anything. It's just I know here it's definitely up in the air here whether or not people's going to get paid.
Our Prime Minister and Treasurer had a very long, it would have been easily 45 minutes, an hour press conference today.
Yeah.
Outlining they already had the $750 stimulus package, so everyone on any form of benefit will be getting $750 basically with their next check or the one after.
Okay.
Then today they've announced a whole lot of other measures, and don't quote me on everything.
No, I know, but it's changing daily, so yeah.
That's right. They seem to have covered. They've certainly covered a lot of areas that my concerns were with. They're increasing the dole, the New Start allowance. They're increasing that, and they're setting up packages for businesses to be able to retain people through this period, the downturn. So
right.
Yeah.
Oh, well, at least I mean. And I know what you're saying. Every day it seems there's a new law and a new rule change, and nobody really knows whether they're coming or going. But one thing I will say, and it goes back to what you said nearly at the very start, was you're not looking to point the finger of the blame. I think prime ministers, presidents, they're stepping up. They're trying their best. I think we need to listen to the advice they're giving us and try not to.
Absolutely.
Don't scrutinise them. It's time to listen to the advice and take this seriously and. Don't panic.
Look,
we're
lucky in Australia that in circumstances like this, we have a fairly bipartisan approach.
Right. Okay.
To getting things done. I mean, I wouldn't want to be in America right now.
No.
With the partisan politics.
No. Yeah.
In the way of action.
Yeah.
In our country, when we're faced with. I mean, we've just been through the bushfires. When
my word!
And we go through floods and bushfires.
Yeah, and then there was there not like massive hailstones that were the size of fucking golf balls and stuff as well mixed in there?
Exactly.
You
name it, mate. We get it.
A country of extremes, an extreme size of a country. Oh well, look, it doesn't.
We are blessed. We are blessed with a fairly bipartisan approach.
Yeah, and one thing I will say about Aussies, from people I've spoke to doing this channel is you know how to take life a little bit less serious and have a laugh and keep the spirits up. So I'm sure Australia will come out of this with a smile on its face, even though it's quite.
Yeah, we will.
Yeah, you will. You know what I mean? Of course, there's going to be sad moments probably close to a lot of people right now with this situation, but. True Aussie spirit is what I'm trying to get at. Will always shine through. I think we're
exactly, and
yeah.
Again, as I say, the really everything's escalated in the last week, and so I know myself. I've been through the whole gamut of emotions.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you there.
I know many people are experiencing great anxiety.
Yeah.
Confusion, anger. I mean, it's all the stages of grief because we've lost a way of life.
Yeah, that's 100% true. I can't put.
And so everyone's going through a lot.
Yeah,
and I think we've all got to be gentle with each other, and we've all got to be kind, and we've all got to stop thinking, fuck you, Jack.
Yeah.
All right, we've got to think about our neighbours.
That attitude doesn't work anymore. Everybody's in the same boat now. We've all got we're all in the same, as you say, anxieties about loads of different things, whether it's work, the virus itself, just little things, education for kids. We're all in the same boat, and it's now time to try and help each other. Elderly in your communities, whatever way that could be, help each other and try and keep smiling if you can. Well, I'll let you go now, Dan, and I'll see what some other people are saying in the comments. Honestly, now, look, thanks very much for talking to me. I really do appreciate you giving your sort of your story in there. It keeps my spirits up talking to you. So all I can say is thanks very much.
We'll talk again soon.
Yeah, and I've really enjoyed this. I hope you have as well. And I'll get to now and see what people are saying. Thanks very much, Dan. Thank you. Stay safe. Take care. Bye. That was Diane, who goes by Mirror Girl there. Thanks very much for talking. That's the first time I've ever done that there. I hope you managed to hear that there. I've put the phone up near my microphone. I've phoned through Facebook. So really intellectual lady with a nice level head with some sound advice. It was great talking to her about her story about TJ Whitten back in her early Footscray days. But just obviously, as I say, keeping a very sane and level head on the whole thing. We are hurting. We are worrying. Things are bigger than sport. But obviously, this right now is the latest breaking story to come out of the footy, the world right now. And I'm sure as a sport, the sport will be fine. Whether or not the finances, I'm sure that will sort itself out as well. And it is tough times. It's tough times for everyone. But the message that Diane said, and I feel that I've echoed from what you're hearing coming out of your governments and your health officials within your countries, is sound advice, and take heed to it. That's all I can say. So I'm going to start reading what some of you have said there, and maybe try and answer back. If anybody's got any questions they'd like to ask, feel free. In the words of David Tennant, obviously Doctor Who, it'll all be okay. Trust me, I'm a doctor. Good stuff, mate. I did watch quite a bit of the footy this weekend. I'm not going to rain on the Rangers. I'm not going to rain on the footy in terms of what we've seen on the footy field. These guys have went out there at the end of the day and probably tried their best to the best of their ability to put on a show for people. They know the fans are locked indoors. They know the fans are probably hurting. They can't be there. There's some guys, I mean, I've seen some stories about people that's been going. They're really old men, 90s they're maybe in, and they've not missed footy for like 40 odd years or something. They've never missed a game. And this was the first time they were ever going to miss a game. So your thoughts go out to these guys. I mean, these are the heartbeat of the sport at the end of the day. They've probably been through thick and thin, through the emotional roller coaster of the highs, seeing their teams win, and then the lows of seeing their teams struggle. So, you know, they're well aware of both aspects of it, but they love the sport, and that's what it's all about at the end of the day, and they're missing their chance to do that. So your thoughts have got to go to these guys as well. Somebody's saying about Liverpool. I don't think Liverpool or any team who was leading in the soccer world are going to be getting the titles, but we just don't know what's happened there. So it's very uncertain, obviously, in other sports as well, like with footy. Exactly, they've obviously been postponed, possibly even cancelled the current seasons, and that might mean no winners. So it's quite worrying times for a lot of clubs out there as well, and other sports financially. But obviously, the way I see the financial side for the AFL, I'm not going to concern myself with that, because Alistair Clarkson also said there's other people out there, maybe nurses, doctors that are got. He never said this, but basically, I'm going to say nurses and doctors out there who are going to be really, really exhausted in the coming weeks, working their socks off to keep to try and save lives. They might not be bringing home a great deal and might not be able to financially run a house based on one wage. So really, if the AFL financially is struggling, that is not the concern of us. All we concern ourselves with is our own house, and then obviously in the community as well. Sport will always be okay at the end of this because we'll always support the sport. We'll always put our money into it, and I'm sure they'll get up and running, no problem at all. So if players have to take a wage cut or whatever they come up with to try and counter this obvious deficit of what was it, $1.5 billion, I think they could be looking at the AFL, which I do feel sorry for them with that news, but I'm sure when we come out the other side of this, the sport will be okay. Exactly. I just want to echo what you've said there. Why Dark Phoenix? It's not just nurses, doctors, everyone associated in healthcare. I work in sterilisation, and they haven't increased our man hours to compensate for added surgery hours. So yeah, it is a knock-on effect. Then you've got to give a shout out to the people working to try and restock the shelves, the truck drivers, other emergency services, paramedics. I mean, everybody who right now we are relying on to live. They're all playing a vital part in society. And all I'll say is I've did seen celebrities, actors, actresses, sports stars, not necessarily in the AFL now, but soccer stars, people who are getting paid, I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars or pounds a year. You know, and there's not enough of them maybe helping back the people who have lined their pockets in the first place. Cristiano Ronaldo, what he's done, Zlatan Ibrahimovic, if you're aware of these two sports stars, what they have done is absolutely brilliant. And I think a lot more people, whether it's actresses or actors or other people who are in a more sort of privileged situation right now, need to put back now. These are not, their role in society is not important, and it's their time now to start putting back. When the shit hits the fan and we're in crisis stage like we are right now, there's only several industries and types of people that are stepping up and fighting this war for us all, and the other ones that should be rewarded. So thanks very much for that comment, mate. And it's just obviously doctors and nurses are going to be the ones that get the credit initially straight away. But you are right in what you say. There's loads of other work within the health industry as well that does need recognised. I mean, even things like porters, people moving beds, vitally, vitally important jobs. Where is Bill Gates? Well, look, as I said, there's a lot of people that could be stepping up and putting some money in now. Yeah, Glenn, mate. So there, I've just, as I said, truckers, people working in transport, logistics. These are vital people right now, in this fight for across the world, isn't it? So thanks very much for what you're doing. Dave, exactly, mate. You've put it in block capitals there. Exactly what you've just said there. It goes. These are the people. These are the people we need to be applauding. Exactly, it is. I actually made that comment. The hospitals right now they kind of look and feel like what it would have been in world wars when there's not enough beds. There's just more casualties and or patients coming in than beds to give them. They're in corridors. They're overwhelmed. They've not got the right equipment or enough of it. Absolutely insane. It does seem like for the doctors and nurses in the hospitals and all the other people helping, and obviously like we've just discussed there, it does seem like they're fighting a war right now. Yeah, well, but just as somebody says, yes, Bill Gates does donate billions to charity. So not just a name that I've read out, not a person I'm targeting. If anybody's thinking that, I'm just saying, yeah, people like him need to be putting their hands in their pocket. There's not enough like him doing that. But obviously, I think somebody said sport comes first. I just try to read these comments. They're going quite quick. It's not the same sort of live stream as you would be used to for me in terms of upbeat, is it? All I can do is kind of apologise for that. It's just the sort of emotion that I've found myself in right now. I'm trying to lift the spirits. I will be doing reactions videos the same. I didn't want to do too much talking about the footy there, the live stuff, because it was very hard for me to kind of relay the excitement of it all into a video. And I don't want to annoy anybody. I think one of the videos with the comments I made was probably going to be upsetting more people than what it was actually. Not inspiring, it's the wrong word to use. Exciting or making people happy. So I didn't really want to keep that on there. I'm conscious of that there, so I've removed that video. But like, it is what it is. Yeah, I've removed it. I was disappointed in the result, of course, but I think I expressed my emotions and my feelings. Maybe I went too far. Not on more necessarily the result of the game, just the overall piece of it.